Maggie, is there a Kleenex there, just in case?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not sure I can get through this. I'm going to try. It's very short.
Take your time.
I love and miss Todd every day. He was a wonderful son, brother, and father to his 3 sons. It breaks my heart that he didn't live to see what wonderful young men and fathers his sons have become. He would have loved being a grandfather to his 6 grandchildren. Every time I see them, I see him smiling.
Do you want to sit down, ma'am?
Is it right if I go on?
Yeah, we can pull up a seat for you. Is that better? Do you want to try to finish what you were
That's all I
That's
have.
it? Okay. Thank you.
Todd was my brother, and I've been really conflicted about whether I wanted to speak today on his behalf or on all our family's behalf. Because nothing I say is really ever going to change. Todd's still going to be gone. Our lives are still never going to feel complete again. The role of him not being here will never be filled. But not speaking or not sharing some of my outrage and pain over his death, not correcting the image that has been painted of Todd, doesn't seem right either. When Linda was let out of prison in 2018, our whole family was in shock. It was incomprehensible to us. These last 6 years that Linda has been out living her life shook my faith in the law and in justice and in all that is right. It's been so hard having to listen to her lies and having her play the victim in this. And every single time I hear her speak, I just think, who's checking that? Who knows? Who's paying attention to what is real and what is not real? Because she's lied so much that it's hard to keep straight. I think if anyone's learned anything at this point, is that Linda is incapable of telling the truth. So I'd like people to know that my brother, Todd, was not an awful person. He was definitely not the abusive control freak Linda and her lawyers tried to make him out to be. He was a good guy. He had a great sense of humor. He was kind and funny. He cared about his community and his family and his friends. He was always there if you needed him. They say if you want to know what a guy is really like, watch how he treats his mother. There wasn't anything Todd wouldn't do for Mom. He fully intended to build Mom a place on his property when she was older so he could take care of her. And I have no doubt that he would have done that. It was Todd who showed up with his truck on a Saturday when it was pouring rain to help me move. One of those washout pouring rain days, but it's just not going to let up. Had a whole house to move. Todd drove in from Lawrence. I was delighted to find out he was the only one there to help me move. And he just grinned and said, "I hope you're buying lunch." You could count on Todd. He was loyal and protective of those he loved. And he was gifted at making the ordinary fun. He was so creative and imaginative. He loved the holidays. He loved Halloween and Christmas. He made them all special for everyone. But just the everyday times that we spent with Todd were just as fun, just as great. Todd liked the classics. He liked Elvis Presley and Johnny Mathis and Randy Travis. He wasn't afraid to show emotions or cry, but he was one of the toughest people I knew. And it would have broke his heart to know that his death ended his son's childhoods and altered all our lives forever. One of the biggest heartbreaks for me to this day is that it's difficult to talk about Todd without talking about how he died. And there is no question that he suffered an excruciating and painful death. There wasn't one person who was there that day who didn't have a hard time talking about his injuries. I can't help but think about what Todd must have been feeling that day he died. What a Herculean effort it took for him to escape that house, to put out the fire engulfing his body, only to have her deliberately run over him with that van. And still he hung on. He was that tough. He was trying so hard to live. And it absolutely kills me to know that hers was probably the last face he saw in this world. Linda's an evil person. She deserves no one's mercy. She should never have been given another trial or let out of prison to start with. But now that she has been found guilty twice of this crime, I hope she will finally go to prison for the rest of her life, and we can be done with her. She doesn't deserve the hope of ever being free again. And while I'm normally a compassionate person, I have zero forgiveness in my heart for Linda. And I hope when death comes for her, I hope it is as painful and as agonizing as the one you put Todd through. You deserve it. You are an awful human being.
I just have a short statement from myself, and then I also have a statement from my sister Kathy, who cannot be here today, but asked me to read her statement. My statement's simple. This weekend, rest assured, we're going to be celebrating the holiday in Todd's memory. You'll be in prison. My sister Kathy's statement is such. The picture that she's referring to is on the right with her daughter. This picture was taken the last time I and my two children, then ages 4 and 2, saw my brother Todd alive. It was August of 2006. We were having a family dinner with Todd and his 3 boys and some other family members. We had a wonderful time. There was lots of laughter, silliness, which was usual when Todd was around. Todd was always a favorite with the kids, and my 2 kids adored their Uncle Todd. I think that this is because he had such joy of life and remained in touch with his inner child his whole life. I miss my brother. I think of him every day, and of all we lost when he was taken from our lives so brutally and so unnecessarily. My life and my children's lives are immensely poor for his loss, as are the lives of all his many friends and family members, but especially his 3 children, his boys. They lost their dad as teenagers and have had to go through the difficult years of early adulthood without him there to help guide them. They have grown into adults that I know their father would be proud of. I see Todd in each one of them, especially in their love and their prioritization for their children. We all lost so much when Todd was taken from us, but we have at least some memories of him to help us sustain us. I feel the worst and the sorriest for his grandchildren, who never knew, nor will they ever get to know, their grandfather, who would have adored them. Every time I am blessed with the chance to spend time with Todd's grandchildren, I can't help but feel sad that he never got a chance to meet them and to get to know him. I know he would have been a daily presence and a positive influence in their lives. Todd's death has left a giant hole in my heart and our family, but knowing that the person responsible for taking his life will spend the rest of her life in prison will help us find some peace and some level of closure. When you take into account all the people in whose lives have been made less by this untimely death, 2 life sentences don't seem enough. It's a beginning and it's a start, but it's not enough. For the past 6 years, we have had to live with the emotional and mental stress and pain that she was out of prison. She never should have been there. But knowing that Todd's killer is going behind bars for the rest of her life will provide us some closure at last. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.